Appreciate it. This is a condition of the colony of Georgia in 1760. Congress at Augusta in November 1763. Treaty with the Indians, then solemnized. Instructions to Indian traders, strength of the adjacent Indian nations in 1768. Augusta's representation in the Provincial Congress. Congress at Augusta in June 1773. The ceded lands, adjustment of the claims of the Indian traders, trouble with the Indians, and Silver Bluff. Silver Bluff, that's something. Upon the inauguration of Governor Wright in 1760, the population of Georgia amounted to barely 6,000 people. 6,000. And them just the people that they know of, including some of the Chickasaws, which is part of the Muskogee Confederacy. The return showed that there were then 3,538 Negro slaves owned and employed within the province. The military force of the colony consisted of 60 men belonging to His Majesty's independent companies of 2 troops of rangers, each numbering 5 officers and 70 privates, and of the militia, organized infantry, and aggregating 1,025. But 3,400 pounds of rice were imported in that year, and the entire commerce of the colony was conducted by 42 vessels, most of them of light burden. Scarcely anything was manufactured at home, all needed supplies coming from abroad, and especially from Great Britain. Some of the poorer and more industrious class wove a coarse homespun cloth and knit cotton and yarn stockings for domestic use. Here and there a tanner or a shoemaker plied his trade, and there was no lack of blacksmith. Occasionally a ship, a snow, a brigantine, or a schooner was built for the coasting trade. The whole time and strength of the colonists, as Sir James Wright reports to the Lord Commissioners of Trade and Plantations, are applied in planting rice, corn, peas, and a small quantity of wheat and rye, and in making pitch, tar, and turpentine, and in making shingles and staves, and sawing lumber, and scantling and boards of every kind, and in raising stocks of cattle, mules, horses, and hogs. They're not using any bricks. In some kind of way, in barely 100 years, of bricks everywhere, and big buildings everywhere. Okay. Matter of fact, that's the amazing part of it. The native population, however, remained, and it became necessary to acquaint the Indians with the change which had occurred and to adopt measures for the perpetuation of the amicable relations existing between them and the British Crown. Yeah. By royal proclamation dated at St. James, October 7, 1763, His Majesty George III, from the extensive and valuable acquisitions in America secured to his crown by the definitive treaty of peace concluded at Paris on the 10th of February in the same year, annexed to the province of Georgia all lands lying between the rivers Altamaha and St. Mary. That is from Alabama to Florida. The separate governments of the East and West Florida. Oh, no, that's all the way to New Orleans. Just about Mississippi to New Orleans. Were then organized, and the northern boundary of the 2 Floridas constituted the southern boundary of Georgia as far as the Mississippi River. Thus did Georgia cease to be a frontier colony, relieved from those anxieties so long entertained by reason of her proximity to Spanish rule at St. Augustine and Pensacola, and no more exposed to the ignorances of French intrigue and jealousies emanating from Mobile and the Alabama fort. The province entered upon a career of security and assured prosperity. Yeah. Her southern and western boundaries, formerly threatened by enemies, were now but dividing lines separating plantations with kindred interests and acknowledging a common allegiance. The change was pleasing and restful, and the effect upon the colony most salutary. So, the native population was just a native population. They ain't know what was going on, but they had to tell them. To that end, the Earl of Egremont, the principal Secretary of State for the Southern Department, at the instance of the King, addressed communications to the governors of the province of Virginia, North and South Carolina, and Georgia, directing them, in association with Captain Stewart, the Superintendent of Indian Affairs, to convene a Congress of the Creeks, Cherokees, Catawbas, Chickasaws, and Choctaws at Augusta, or in such other central point as might be deemed most convenient. The Earl of Egremont, matter of fact, got something on him. Matter of fact, he part of the royalty, amazingly. Yeah, them poppies. There you go. Earl of Egremont. A title in the peerage of Great Britain. It was created in 1749 in Cumberland for Algernon, 7th Duke of Somerset, with remainder to his nephews, Charles Wyndham of Orchid Wyndham and Percy Wyndham O'Brien. Yeah. Still dealing with them Irish folks. A lot of them were slaves, a lot of them wasn't. Most of it was a good bit of indentured servitude. You had some upper class and lower class throughout everybody that came. Might even been kinfolk, but hey, whole different story. Okay. So they had to tell the Indians about what was going on. Hey, the Spanish ain't in Florida no more. They done kicked them out from around the Mississippi River. So, hey, all this little area done got straight. Looking good. Yeah. So now, there was Georgia, which they were just claiming it as Georgia, which it really was part of the Spanish, all the way to over here. The Spanish was rocking all of this, all of that. Yeah, Spanish was rocking all of that. But some kind of way they got a chance to take all that. And they got to get Florida, where the Timucuas were. And all these people are still part of the same Muskogee Dynasty Confederacy. I don't know if people know that there's a road going all the way down here. Pretty sure that's a brick road. I got some more information on that too. And this Jacksonville, Florida, right here, right across the state line. I'm break down some of that. St. Augustine. Yep. A whole lot of information on that. Break down some of that Augusta brick and how it made it to different parts of the country. Yep. After some discussion and upon the suggestion of Governor Wright, endorsed by Mr. Stewart is from Scotland, Augusta was selected as the locality most suitable for the convocation. The Congress was opened with due formality at the King's Fort in that town on Saturday, November 5th, 1763. That's the Royal Proclamation, 1763 going on. There were present on the part of the English, Governor James Wright of Georgia, Governor Thomas Boone of South Carolina, Governor Arthur Dobbs of North Carolina, Lieutenant Governor Francis Farquhar of Virginia, and John Stewart, Esquire, Superintendent of Indian Affairs in the Southern Department. 700 Indians were in attendance. James Colbert acted as interpreter for the Chickasaws, and Choctaws. John Butler, James Beamer, and John Watts interpreted for the Cherokees, and Stephen Forrest and John Proctor for the Creeks. Colonel Ayers, the Catawba chief, interpreted for his nation. Now, this is the funny part about this, though, because who's one of them? Now, all these people, Scottish and Irish, and we got a French dude, French Huguenot, Francis Farquhar. He got a weird name, but I got him on here too, Mr. Farquhar. Where my guy at? Gotta break him down real quick. Where you at, Mr. Farquhar? Why is it Farquhar? The old black nobility and everybody. Oh, there you go. Francis Farquhar. Or Farquhar. that is, I don't know, man. They got them names. I guess that's the English version of the name. But he served as Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. So from 1758 until his death in 1768, right? So he born and educated in London. And he was influential in business and the arts before coming to Virginia. Beginning in the midst of the French and Indian War, his administration was fraught with unusual difficulty. He struggled to establish defense against the Indian raids. Yeah, okay, whatever with all that. But he was born in London, probably not long before he was baptized there in the parish of St. Andrew. He was the son of John Francis Farquhar and Elizabeth Chamberlain Farquhar. His father, a French Huguenot immigrant, was a financial agent and deputy master of the mint, where he served under Isaac Newton and supervised copper coinage early in the reign of George I. Okay. And at his death in 1726, he was a director of the Bank of England. Oh, this is out of the Encyclopedia of Virginia, matter of fact. It just popped up. And just popped it up. Just typed his name in and found this. Yeah. And when he died, he had 5,000 pounds, 5,000 sterling and of bank stock and 20,000 worth of stock in the South Sea Company. Bro was getting that money though. Bro knew the finances. So Huguenot, I'm pretty sure that's like I don't know. I guess he's a Jew. He one of them cryptos. But some kind of way he found himself working with the English. But he studied Latin, literature, music, and the natural sciences. In 1730, he sold his bank stock and married Catherine Dalston. Had 2 sons. Yep. He really got it in. And he became the lieutenant governor of Virginia. I don't know why, but this is a picture of King George I. Look at King George I. He looks like he fresh to death. And then with that little Liberty cap she got on the stick right there. Anywho, you got a little tint to him. You still got a big nose. Oh yeah, King George I. You be the judge. I ain't getting into it. Yep. Oh, and this other guy. I like him too. John Watts. Yeah, well, they said they had the interpreters for the Chickasaws and Choctaws. So this dude here, John Watts, interpreted for the Cherokees. And it's this dude right here. And how they try to tell you. You just look stuff up. John Watts, also known as Young Tassel, was one of the leaders of the Chickamauga Cherokee. Yes. Nickname Young Tassel. And guess who he is? He's a mixed blood, son of a British trader, John Watts, and a Cherokee mother, Augusta White Owl Carpenter. I'm pretty sure they just give it a last name White. Yeah. His daddy served as the official British government Indian interpreter for the area until his death in 1779. Watts' mother, Augusta, was a sister of Cherokee chief Attaculla Carpenter. Her last name Carpenter. Okay. And Old Tassel, Great Eagle Carpenter. Father to Chief Doublehead, Hanging Maw, and Pumpkin Boy. And these a whole bunch of nicknames. I don't know no white people with nicknames, but I know a whole lot of black folk with nicknames. So-called black folk. Shoot. You ain't gonna make it without a nickname. Everybody gonna call you by your government forever. You gonna get some nickname. You gonna either get it from your family or you gonna get it from the people you go to school with or the people you hang around. Mm-hmm. So he was raised in Cherokee culture. His parents resided in the overhill towns along the Little Tennessee River. What? Come on. Yeah. Elizabeth Worthy Betsy Watts was the mother of Chief John Jolly, Chief Robert Benz, Bloody Fellow, James Benz, and Sequoia. Their brother John Watts Bowles was chief of the Arkansas Cherokee, leading a contingent in Chickamauga west of the Mississippi in the Spanish territory. So they already locked in. He a half blood. Okay. There really ain't nothing else. Mm-hmm. Well, he just went on. Oh, McGillivray. He was a fur trader. 1799. Yep. He was the father of Alexander McGillivray and the great uncle of William McIntosh. William McIntosh, he was a half blood. William Weatherford, half blood. A whole lot of Irish and Scottish people was getting in there. Mm-hmm. And he immigrated in the late 1730s to either Charleston, South Carolina, or Augusta, Georgia, where members of his family had been engaging in the Indian trade for a generation. All right. I don't even think I even said McGillivray name on here, but he on here somewhere. Just the way it goes. Mm-hmm. Nah, we already know how that go. Just like we got, where are these people at? American Indian slavery in Carolina. Whole lot of slaving in Carolina, man. And they talking about them African people. I made a video on it. Africans cost too much. It's easy to. Matter of fact, it's the same thing happen right now. You get, man, they throw a petty crime on you. You get jaywalking. They'll tell you ain't had no seatbelt on, anything to get some money out you. But back then, they know you ain't had no money. They ain't even care about the money. They fighting wars with each other. Get what? Boy, we finna send you to these plantations over here. Don't even play. Yeah. Anybody that was Catholic, you got to go. How else you want to do it? You Indian, you got to go. Oh yeah. Colonel Ayers, the Catawba chief, interpreted for his nation. Now I don't even believe nobody's really a full blood person. It's probably, I mean, it is, but like, man, you got these interpreters just coming through. Then some of them chiefs, but they already stacked up. They already family. So the American Revolution cause is the American cause. Break free. The Upper and Lower Creeks were present in the persons of their chiefs, Captain Alec, Simple and Bohakda, Sassachaw, Boisaneka. What? Hillaby Sanaga. Man, that sound gangster. Hillaby Sanaga. Yeah, I like that. I ride with you. Famiko, Poyuchi, and their followers. Sound like trying to cover up names. Of the Cherokees, 15 chiefs appeared, representing the settlements over the hills, the middle settlements, and the lower towns. The overhill chiefs were Atakulla, Ostanika, Prince of Okati, Willanawa. Hey, that sounds like Wilhelmina. Anatoy, Ski Augusta of Katai and Moitoy. Those from the lower towns were Tiftoy of Kehoe the Wolf, Hukanada, Man Killer of Kehoe, Good Warrior of Estatoe, Young Warrior of the same place, and the Warrior of Tuskaway. Will, the head man of Watoga, led the delegation from the middle settlement. The Catawbas were represented by their chief, Colonel Ayers, and some followers. Dude named Will, he just got one name, Will. That is crazy. I just seen this Atala name. I gotta look at it again now and see what that's all about. Cause that seemed very suspicious. Oh, all these folks riding together. That's the whole family. Oh, okay. So that's their whole family. So John Watts, he interpreted for the Cherokees, and his mama, or uncle, cousin, them all done show up. Okay then. Man, that was very interesting. Now, the conference occurring within the limits of Georgia was opened by Governor Wright, observing that the day was fair and indulging in the hope that all the talks would not prove otherwise. He invited the Indians to heed the utterances of Mr. Stewart, as he had been selected by the governors present to give expression to their united sentiments. Thus commanded Mr. Stewart, addressing the assembled Indians as friends and brothers, assured them that he spoke by command of the great King George, who, under God, the master and giver of breath, was the common father and protector both of the English and of the red men, that no conference was ever intended to be more general or more friendly, that provoked at the repeated cruelties, insults, and falsehoods of the French and Spaniards, the King of England had put forth his strength and defeated both his perfidious enemies, that in order to prevent a recurrence of former disturbances, his majesty insisted upon the removal of the French and Spaniards beyond the Mississippi. That all cause of trouble being now at an end, he hoped the Indians and English would dwell together in peace and brotherly friendship, that all past offenses should be buried in oblivion and forgiveness, and the English were prepared to deal fairly and to supply the Indian nations with everything they might require, and that the forts recently surrendered by the French would be used for the assistance and protection of the natives, and for the convenience of a trade which it was believed would prove mutually beneficial. The white people, oh yes, the white people, he said in conclusion, value themselves on speaking truth, but to give still greater weight to what we say, the great king has thought proper that his four governors and the superintendent from a great distance should utter the same words at the same time, and to remove every umbrage or jealousy, that you should all hear them in presence of one another and bear testimony for one another in case we should ever act contrary to our declarations. The responses of the chiefs and various rejoinders occupied the attention of the Congress until the 10th of November, when the following treaty was formally ratified by all parties. And all these treaties are saying is that a peaceful and perpetual peace and sincere friendship shall be continued. His Majesty King George III and all his subjects and the several nations and tribes of Indians herein mentioned, that is to say, the Chickasaws, Upper and Lower Creeks, Choctaws, Cherokees, and Catawbas, and each nation of Indians hereby respectively engaged to give the utmost attention to preserve and maintain peace and friendship between their people and the King of Great Britain. And his subjects shall not commit or permit any kind of hostilities, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So basically, King George saying, my people is going to do what they're supposed to do and not bother y'all. And the subjects of the great King George and the aforesaid several nations of Indians shall forever hereafter be looked upon as one people. Sound good. Sound very good. And if anybody commit any offense against each other, it has to be taken up at law. Any white man should kill or murder an Indian, such a white man shall be tried for the offense as the same manner as if he had murdered a white man, and if found guilty shall be executed accordingly in the presence of some of the relations of the Indian who may be murdered if they choose to be present. Yep. But they already mixing and mingling and everything, so it really ain't much he's saying to them that really making any sense. Because majority of these people work for the king, but it's a whole lot of them that don't. And when they get gangster, and people gonna have to choose sides because they shipping too many of these people over there. All these Jacobite people that was fighting to keep King James, King Charles. What they had? Charles, James. Yeah, the second James, matter of fact. James's grandkids. They been fighting. Them a whole lot of people too. And they got a list of names and the people they got sold to. This is on the ISTG website. Yep. ISTG. You just type that in. The immigrantships.net. That's what that is. The ship Susanna, Liverpool, England to South Carolina, the Americas. This is 1716, the May 7th. A list of the 104 rebel prisoners shipped on board the Susanna, Captain Thomas Brommel, commander for Carolina. Yes, there's 104. Matter of fact, and it's written very nicely too. You can get closer to it, but not too closer. But those are all the names. It's literally on the internet. You can find your ancestors on here. I ain't telling you who mine is. If you know me, you know me. You got the whole Macintosh, McDonald's, McCullum, Mathewson, Leslie, Johnston, Lemon, Hammond, Guthrie, Guild, Grant, Gill. You got a Guild and a Gill. Fraser, yeah, Forbes, Ego, Duff, Ducker, Davidson, Clark, Chambers, Robertson, Robinson, Ross, Shaw, Simpson, Smith, a whole lot of Stewart. You better check their genealogy. There it is. We got another ship coming from Liverpool. The Elizabeth and Anne passenger arrival list of 1716, carefully copied from the calendar of Virginia State Papers, 1652 through 1781. Yes, a total of 113 rebels. Yep. So they're going to, they're leaving Liverpool. It look like they're going to Virginia. You got Anderson, Abercrombie, Aston, Betty, Blackwood, Brown, Bruce, Kane, Carr, Chisholm, Shirley Chisholm, Craster, Dickinson, Donaldson, Dunbar, Duncan, Dunn, Ferguson, Finlow, Foster, Grant, Henderson, Holland, Kennedy, Kerr, Martin, Maxwell, McGillivray, same thing. People couldn't spell that good. Whole lot of McIntosh, McPhersons, McQueen, Mitchell, Menzies. Yeah, Patterson, Ogilvy, Noble, Nisbet, Murray. Whole lot of Stewarts again. Them Stewarts got ran up out of there. Wood, White, Watson, Urquhart, Turner. Matter of fact, it's a Urquhart right there in Beach Island. It's a street, or Urquhart Road. Yeah, amazing. Whole lot of information don't be getting put together. So basically, it's just the population merged together. That's how you get a whole lot of people with these European last names that they say you didn't have any names. They were given to you, but matter of fact, Family Search is free. It's this site called Family Search. It is free. All you gotta do is sign up. You can actually use your Google account, and you can just go on here and just look up things. You can look up birth certificate. I was looking up delayed birth certificates. I found out where Andrew Jackson was born at. He was born up there in South Carolina. Born on a plantation. Damn, it sounded like he was born a slave. Never know. I look some more into it. Yep. So now they got all these stipulations dealing with the Aboriginal inhabitants. Yep. So now it comes to this. It was not permitted to a trader without special permission from the governor to bring an Indian within the limits of the white settlements. But they already live with them, though. Like, everybody mixing and mingling. So, like, it wasn't even no point of even saying all that. Persons found trading with the natives without license were to be immediately reported. But I think they're talking about the territories that the British haven't already taken over or set up their colonies and stuff, or their little corporations. Matters relating to the affairs and government of the province could not form subjects of conversation with the natives and the servants of traders were forbidden to traffic with the Indians. No servant could remain in the Indian territory, and if any person in the employment of the trader committed a capital offense, it was made the duty of the trader to take him before a magistrate for trial and punishment. Upon the renewal of his license, each trader was required to submit a statement of all skins and effects purchased from the Indians, and of all goods sold or left at his trading post. It was also incumbent upon him to hand in a journal of all proceedings during his sojourn in the Indian country. No free Indian, Negro, or slave could, without special leave, be employed to assist the trader in the prosecution of his calling, or in rowing his boats for any garrison in the red man's territory. Now, you got free Indians, copper colored people. Negro, that can be anybody. If they know your genealogy, you can be a pale Negro or a light Negro. Or slave, without special leave, be employed to assist the trader in the prosecution of his calling. Yeah. So we know who free Indians is, Negroes, slave. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Negro, like, even this on the little anti-slavery thing, like, come on, man. They calling these people Negroes and stuff. Pale skin Negroes, all that stuff. Look at that. Ran away. A bright mulatto boy, about 21 or 22 years old, named Wash, might pass himself for a white man, as he is very bright, has sandy hair, blue eyes, and a fine set of teeth. May attempt to pass for white. A bright mulatto woman named Julie, about 25. She is of common size, nearly white. All right. I would give her a reward of $50 for said Negro. So she could pass for white, but she's a Negro. Okay. You know what I'm saying? These are people that was on the run and stuff. Mary Butler. We already know who them Butlers is. She might be some kin to Queen Elizabeth. Never know. Yeah. Yep. I have to get clarity. And then they went in white slavery in the United States. White slavery in the United States. And they had the rule of the Roman slave code. Now, Romans didn't see skin color, so if you're using Roman law, then obviously you're not seeing skin color either. And that's why they had all varieties of people getting chased down and brought back. Anywho, back to the book. British should be going to the next chapter. 49. Yep. That's when they incurred a whole lot of debts. Yep. They still giving up gifts in pursuance of rights of election issued by Governor Wright in 1761. The town of Augusta and parish of St. Paul sent up the following representatives: Edward Bernard, John Graham, somebody Williams, and L. McGillivray. No longer subjected to menaces at the hands of Spaniards and French, at peace with the Indian nations, permitted to purchase and employ slaves in the cultivation of the soil, enjoying a fee simple. That fee simple is something. To titles to lands. Encouraged by the example and experience of a wise and energetic governor, the inhabitants of Georgia took fresh courage in the development of the plantation and from this time forward, the progress of the colonization was satisfactory and uninterrupted. In the excitement which violently agitated Savannah when the authorities attempted within her limits to enforce the provisions of the Stamp Act of 1765, the citizens of Augusta did not share except to a limited extent. They were too far removed from the scene of operations and had but small practical interest in the question and the rights involved. They pretty much was living pretty decent. Yes. That's why I look at his name, L. McGillivray. So they saying this is election time, L. McGillivray. Then I just looked his name up, McGillivray guy. Yes, I did. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he with John Watts, them, ain't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to make it. They just throw anything up there. They don't want to make it make sense for us. So I don't know. I hope I'm making the best sense I can of it. Cause it's a trip to me to just be sitting, just looking at this stuff, and it's like, hold on, what is going on? Yeah, there you go, Laughlin McGillivray. He's a McGillivray. He already locked in with the. Look at that. He from Scotland. Yeah, he was born into the McGillivray, the family clan of Chatton, somewhere in Scotland. And the McIntosh family. All these Scottish, Irish folks locked in with the what? Alexander McGillivray. Oh, matter of fact, so Lackland, as we seeing, L. McGillivray, Lackland. That's who that is. I gotcha. So he was part of the government too then. Okay. And they had slaves too. Hmm. Wow. Amazing. Yeah. And his son, Alexander, he was a Creek leader. Muskogee mama and a Scottish father. And understood the white European world. Yeah. They should have just said European. That white word gonna get broke so badly. I don't know why people try to contest it. Yeah. In the Scottish insurrections of the early 18th century, that was the 1700s and stuff, his clan Chatton had mostly sided with the cause of James the Old Pretender and Bonnie Prince Charlie. Uh-huh. And Savannah McGillivray had signed petitions opposing certain crown colonial policies, particularly parliamentary taxation. But he also had many business interests with British merchants. At the outset of the American Revolution, he was a loyalist. As war progressed, he and other loyalists in Savannah earned enemies among the patriots. Yep. Continental soldiers arrested McGillivray and at least two of his McIntosh cousins as suspected spies. They were freed when the British captured the city. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now he rocking with this guy and what he was. Roman Catholic. So they ain't even down with England anyway. They just playing. They playing the game how it go. It was gonna happen regardless. They were gonna break free anyway. It wasn't gonna be no British British wasn't gonna hold this too long. Good to know. Now we see what most of these problems is. I got a video too. I'm gonna throw the Dictionary of War. This little thing I done caught. It's terrible. We in for a rude awakening. Yep. But that's what's up. So he running for government and stuff, McGillivray. Mm-hmm. No longer subjected to the menaces at the hands of Spaniards and French, at peace with the Indian nations, permitted to purchase and employ slaves in the cultivation of the soil. Yeah. He living good. Mm-hmm. But in 1767, depredations, which means destruction of property, were committed by a party of Creek Indians who had lately formed a settlement on the Oconee River upon the plantations on the Little River. Some horses were captured, pursued by 5 of the inhabitants. The Indians fled until they regained their homes, where, reinforced by their companions, they turned upon their assailants and compelled them to beat a hasty retreat. This was not the first time the Creeks had invaded this region and plundered its plantations. Yeah. And Governor Wright decided he needed to talk to the nation, the Creek Nation. Yeah. Now, during this time, the town of Augusta now contained some 80 houses, a church, and 2 wooden forts. Plantations were multiplying to the north as far as Little River. Oh yeah, they did lose a whole lot of property up in Wilkes County, 1773. But that haven't came yet. The Earl of Hillsborough, nothing but them Scottish boys. Even when they born in England and stuff, they still be Scottish folks and Irish folks and German folks. England is really like the go-to place to live. But it's just like England, just like New York City, kind of. Not as big, but kind of like being in New York. A whole bunch of immigrant folks in there. Mm-hmm. Augusta was, in 1772, Augusta was represented by Edward Bernard, Alexander Inglis, and Thomas Schroeder. Governor Haversham dissolved the assembly. 1772. Where my Haversham guy at? I pulled up a whole bunch of people just to be looking at them to see who they is. They had a whole lot going on. A lot of things got destroyed. Where are you, Mr. Haversham? Oh, well. For some time, the Cherokees had been increasing their indebtedness to the traders. Each year, they became less able to discharge their accumulating obligations. The Creeks were in a similar situation. The traders clamored for payment, and the Indians offered to make a cession of lands in settlement of their debts. Various negotiations and talks ensued in regard to the matter, which was finally adjusted at a Congress held in Augusta on the 1st of June, 1773. Yep. And Georgia was represented by her governor, Sir James Wright, and the Cherokees and Creeks appeared in the persons of several chiefs who were empowered to bind their respective nations. The Honorable John Stewart, His Majesty's sole agent and superintendent of Indian affairs in the Southern District of North America, was also present. By the session, then made, Georgia acquired additional territory embracing over 2 million acres of land, most of it well watered and adapted to the cultivation of indigo, cotton, tobacco, corn, wheat, etc. Wilkins, Lincoln, Taliaferro, Greene, Oglethorpe, Elbert, and other counties were subsequently carved out of it. What that word is, session again? Yeah. Let me tell you what session means. And it's just concession, but session is the same thing. Yep. In legal terms, to concede. In international law, a concession is a territory within a country that is administered by an entity other than the state which holds sovereignty over it. This is usually a colonizing power, or at least mandated by one, as in the case of colonial chartered companies. So they didn't even own the land, they just got permission to use it until they made enough money off of it. That's all. Session. Yeah. Just that easy. Seemed like something got took. But business. Business as usual. The aggregated indebtedness existing on the part of the Indians to the traders was estimated at from 40,000 shilling to 50,000 shilling. That can be paid back easily. Cut down a few trees. They still do that today. Simultaneously with the formal execution of this cession and treaty, the Indian traders holding claims against the Indians submitted releases by which, in consideration of the surrender of this territory to His Majesty and in anticipation of receiving partial or entire payment of the debts due to them by the Creeks and Cherokees for the monies to be realized upon the sale of these lands, they absolutely acquitted and discharged the Indians from all demands. Prominent among those signing these releases were George Galvin, James Jackson and Company, Martin Campbell and Son, Woodgen, Ray Whitfield and Company, Edward Bernard, Waters, James Grissom, James Spalding and Company, and Edward Keating, in order to engage the attention of the public and to attract sellers for this newly acquired and fertile domain. His Excellency on the 11th of June, 1773, issued a proclamation in which, after describing the cession and making known the fact that surveyors were actually engaged in running out and marking the boundaries, he states the territory would be parceled out in tracts varying from 100 to 1,000 acres. Wow. 100 acres would be sold to the master or head of a family, 50 acres additional for the wife and each child, and the same number of acres for each slave owned and brought in by the purchaser. Eesh. Man, I need to find that black slave owners. Cause them black, if you got at least 10 slaves, you already 500 strong with acres. Plus your wife and kids. Man, come on, stop playing. That's a come up. Amazing. And it just goes to show that a lot of these people ain't who they say they is. If folk know that they indigenous to America and they got these European names, they gotta figure out when they got here, what they were doing, where they moved from. Oh yeah, it's too gangster. And this guy, Of all the Indian traders and merchants prominently associated with the commerce and development of Augusta, no one was more influential or enterprising than George Galpin. Although his home and his depot of supplies were for many years located at Silver Bluff on the Carolina side of the Savannah, his affiliations were chiefly with Georgia, and his intercourse was principally with her people and with the Indian tribes dwelling within and upon her borders. George Galpin is a special person because he still got a lot of descendants that live on the Georgia side. His relations with Augusta were constant and materially conduced to enhance the business of the town. By William Bartram, who visited him in 1774, he is described as a gentleman of very distinguished talents and great liberality, who possessed the most extensive trade connections and influence among the South and Southwest Indian tribes. Yes. Yeah, George Galpin was somebody. Cause I look up him, he was doing his thing. It is a quick Google search. I got a book on him. The book Springfield talk a lot about him too. He was a businessman. He from Antrim, Ireland, Northeast Ireland. So he's a Scots Irish. You already know what them Irish look like. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was a linen weaver. He came up when he got over here, though. Came to America in 1737, arriving at the port of Charleston, South Carolina. Found work from Brown, Ray and Company, a trading firm based out of Augusta. So he worked for them. The same people that was getting the land, putting into corporate status, starting trusts with all the land they was acquiring. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, in 1760, he was involved in a project with fellow trader John Ray, encouraging Irish immigration to the region on the Georgia side. These immigrants were encouraged to move onto a 50,000-acre tract of land called Queensboro. It's the Irish. Queensboro is Irish. That's why so many people celebrate St. Patrick's Day. It's really the biggest holiday. Yeah, I can say Christmas and Thanksgiving. No, St. Patrick's Day. It's a worldwide event. Mm-hmm. Yep. The trip part about him is get to it. Nah, he was married. Well, he was married to Matani of Coweta. She was a Creek woman. So she took him into the Creek world and facilitated his relationships with her clansmen like Escotcheby and Sempoyafi, two of the primary headmen of the Lower Creeks during the mid to late 18th century. All right. Trip part about Mr. Galpin. I have to go in the book. This was a trip. Because on this plantation, he had a whole lot more women. That man had at least like 5 or 6 women. The book Old Springfield is that supposedly the free black African Americans, which they were actually called Negroes. But they would call them African Americans, huh? Anything to sell a book. Yeah. Yep. Galpin kept Coweta women and fathered women, children of mixed blood. Yep. And he also had a French woman named Rachel Dupree. In addition to his Indian wives, he lived with at least 2 black women at Silver Bluff and a French woman named Rachel Dupree. He also acknowledged having a wife in Ireland. A dutiful father, Galpin remembered all his children generously in his will. Goodness. Dude was getting it in. He had a good bit of kids. And some of his descendants still live down that way. Like in the Burke County area. All right, let me finish this chapter. Yeah. Along with Silver Bluff, a place of general resort and of much commercial importance, hence were the annual royal presents for the Indians frequently distributed. Hither did the Indians from an extensive territory repair to exchange their peltry and animals for articles of European manufacture. From this point did traders depart, amply supplied for distant expeditions and long sojourns among the red men. Here were storehouses, cattle pens, and structures erected for the accommodation of the rude visitors. Barges piled regularly between Silver Bluff and Charlestown and Savannah, and the landing place was the resort of multitudes of Indian canoes, many of them coming from remote points. It was a busy settlement by the swiftly moving waters of the tawny-hued Savannah. Overall watched the observant eye of the proprietor. So just was he in his dealings with the sons of the forest, and so extensive were his transactions with them, that he had acquired an influence at once potent and far-reaching. The years roll on, and increasing population, overleaping stream and mountain barrier, fills the hills and valleys of a distant interior. Before his inexorable advance, the red race retires, and upon its departure, the occupation of the Indian trader here becomes obsolete. The rest of its importance, this post lapses into decay, and the locality becomes the home of departed memories, the abode of traditions, and the dwelling place of the phantoms of things that were. The same bold river, with restless tide, hastening onward to mingle its waters with the billows of the Atlantic. The same overarching sky, the same potent sun, kindreds, forests, and voices of nature, but all else how changed. Mm-hmm. I'm getting to chapter 5 soon. That's a trip. I got some other stuff. Matter of fact, this is a canoe, right? Well, they say a canoe. Barges plied regularly between Silver Bluff and Charleston and Savannah, and the landing place was the result of multitudes of Indian canoes, many of them coming from remote points. So, this right here is Prince Frederick's barge, built in 1732. That is nice. Very nice. And that's royalty. Craziness. This was King James the First. The King James the First and sixth. The sixth of Scotland and the first of Ireland. That's a trip. Yeah, King James. Oh well, that's what I got for today. I got some more. I want to get to this Revolutionary War so I can explain why this, which is the Union of the Crown, the Royal Heraldic Badge, the Tudor Rose, delineated with the Scottish thistle and signed by the Royal Crown. This looks like this. it looks specifically like that. Maybe it's just me, but that thing looks just like that thing right there with the leaves and all. Trying to tell you, I don't know. Tell me what's really going on. I don't get to that Boston Tea Party. I swear that thing. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it is in me. But that little Union of the Crown badge look a little iffy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't seen what they look like. Anybody know what that is? The way that little flower sticking out of there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We finna get to that Revolutionary War too. Oh yeah. I got some stuff I'm gonna put together. But I appreciate y'all watching. And please do your genealogy. Just figure out what your parents' name is, and what their parents' names is, and just go from there. One thing you don't want to do in this world is not know who your parents is. Got to know your family. I'm just starting to get information out of my folks. Right. I heard a little something. I gotta keep coming up with constructive ways of getting information. But now I guess since I'm grown, I can actually sit there and get a conversation out of my parents. And they be putting me up to some good information now. I know a lot about my grandparents and my great grandparents now. I know where they from. I know what they had going on. So that works. But yeah, there's a lot of these people in here, man. McGillis, got the Smiths, Thompson, Sutherlands, Chambers, Hamilton, Kennedys, McKenzies. Man, all these people black. Some of them got red hair, light hair, good face. Black swarthy, sandy hair swarthy, black straight, brown, well-made swarthy. Okay, pale-faced. We got a pale-faced Sutherland. Look at that, Adam Sutherland from the county of Sutherland. These are families of people getting kicked out. I'm talking people getting kicked out of their counties. That's the crazy part about it. Like, they got a county, Murray County. A whole lot of Murrays got kicked out of their county too. Sterling County, they got kicked out of there. Like, yeah, they were removing whole counties, and then a whole country of people. And what happens when a power vacuum is formed? You get new people in there. So all this stuff that been left, oh man. So now you got some people that more than likely ain't no kin to these folks talking about, yeah, I'm from there, I know these people. That's my family. Man, please. We ain't made it to the orphan train stuff. And all these little kids that were just raised up to believe a certain thing. That's why that old saying goes, you give me your child to the age of 7, whatever they say, you put them in the church. Till they 7, they'll be stuck to that church. Yeah. Ain't nothing. A lot of people died. A lot of people sick. A lot of people couldn't take care of their kids, so they sent their kids to orphanages and little group homes and stuff. Other people raised their kids for them. Especially that church. That church take kids from you, but oh yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. Good to be living. That internet, man. That internet something. I'm tell you. All these people. Matter of fact, they're right here too. Black Morrow. Well, matter of fact, they call him Black Murray. The dude here it's a name given to a late 15th century Scottish outlaw. Now look at this picture. Y'all know who this is. It's somebody's uncle. Somebody know him. A popular ballad makes the bandit as living in Ettrick Forest, while a recorded oral tradition, a wood in Kirkcudbrightshire. In the tradition, the outlaw is described as a Romani or Scottish traveler, Moor, a Saracen, or more commonly, an Irishman or from Ireland. The folklorist David McRitchie took a strong interest in the ethnicity of the outlaw because of his dark skin, and the story is commonly quoted in modern Afrocentrist literature. Others, however, have disputed whether the bandit was dark-skinned or a blackamoor. Really. They just don't want to say the guy was melanated. That's all. And he wasn't no Moor or no African. He was a Irishman. That's in Ireland. Kirkcudbrightshire. That's in Ireland. Can't really try to change it up like the man was anything but that. They had a dispute going on and that's what happened. Now, this is the crazy part. It remains unclear when Outlaw Murray began to be called Black Murray because neither does the recorded tradition call him this. The folklorist David McRitchie in 1894 traced the name Black Murray to two literary sources, arguing they were local Kirkcudbrightshire versions of the original Mackenzie Crawford tradition. The Kirkcudbright tradition tells of a certain blackamoor, Black Morrow, or Black Murray who inhabited a wood near that town, still known as the Black Morrow Wood. It is clear that the blackamoor, or both versions stating it each to have been killed by young McClellan, is the same as the chief of the Moors or Saracens, whom Sir George Mackenzie speaks of as remembered in tradition as far back as 1680. Really? The author of the History of Galloway suggests Morrow or Murray is a corruption of Moor, who from his swarthy complexion was called Black. However, in the ballad, Murray is the surname of the bandit, which is unlikely to have derived in etymology from the word Moor. The meaning and origin of Black is also disputed. So basically, the man's last name was Murray, and it ain't had nothing to do with calling him a Moor. Yeah. And the origin of Black is also disputed. Yeah, I usually got to twist stuff. At least this guy tried to straighten out. He tried to straighten it out. And the ballad does not describe the bandit as a gypsy, Saracen, or Moor, nor even a Black Murray, only as Outlaw Murray. So they're just trying to set that man all the way up. But he just so happened to have dark skin. And he's in Scotland. And they don't know if he was a Romani, Scottish traveler, Moor, Saracen, or an Irishman, or from Ireland. So, man, that lets you know. The colored man. And all these people that were mixing in with them old natives, fresh out of Ireland. He from Ireland. Henry Ellis was the governor of Georgia. He's from Ireland too. And then the people who got kicked out first. 1715, 1745, convict transport. Whole bunch of Scottish and Irish people misclassified as Africans. Yep. And there we have it. Oh, that's my guy right there, though. Yes, that's my guy. Richard Henry Wilde. So this is a picture they try to put of this guy. No, don't give me that one. I don't want that one. Yes. Which is wild. Because they got him looking like somebody he is really not. And I think the computer done caught on that I know that ain't really his picture. Now they trying to make me do all that. Which is so cool. It's like that ain't really the picture of Thomas Jefferson, but if it is, he got a twin. But yeah, this is Richard Henry Wild. Matter of fact, make his name pop up. Boom. Richard Henry Wild, 1789-1847. This picture, well, this painting is from 1815. Now, he's a smooth guy because he did a whole lot of traveling. He was a player of some sorts, too, because he went to Italy. Yeah. You see he got an afro. I mean, a very smooth afro, too. Got a fresh, kind of fresh tape on it. Yeah. And he from Ireland. That's the thing about him. This guy here is from Ireland, too. Look at him. He got a picture of a guy with some slick back hair on him. He got the hair all slick back. That's the game they play. So we just run with it. Yep. Something in the water. All right. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm going to get up out of here, man. Y'all subscribe if you really, really, really want to take that ride with me. And please like and comment. I don't mind. You say anything. Just say appreciate it. Put a thumbs up or something. Peace.